looking.
Now you can report it the same way. They're saying they've already got the structure and they've only come up with it as a response to the duty. They said it's actually a good idea. I know they were anti, but they're talking about it now as an idea, which I thought was really interesting. Who knows if it'll happen?
Oh.
Yeah, so there you go.
So
the risk-based assessment, have you heard much about how that's worked? I've just had some anecdotal evidence that some places love it and some places have basically didn't like the list that came out, so they changed the inputs till they got the list they liked.
Nice.
Which I thought was really funny.
Well, okay, the Act ought to give some guidance. There's a whole range of places where the guidance comes from.
Yes.
Including sometimes
the regs here in the...
sometimes his functions of local control authorities, 371. And that says that the council has this role of prevention, elimination, minimisation and management of biosecurity risk. So they are the people that make that reckoning.
Yeah.
And also they develop, implement, coordinate and review weed control programs. And so I see that the regional weed strategies are actually a weed control program. Okay. They were written by an external party, knowing that the councils would look at these plans and apply them. They didn't understand that the council actually has the final decision. So the regional weed strategies were written as saying that people thought they were writing a thou shalt, and I kept saying no. Actually, it's the council.
It's meant to just give a picture, isn't it? Like guidance. Like this is the picture of what's happening in the region. These are our priorities. And
guidance for weeds officers.
Right.
And so councils, weeds officers.
So you can develop your material and you can do what you need to address the priorities. But how they do it's up to the council, right?
So
what they do is up to the council. So
then you have a council. Well, let's say let's pick on Riverina. And so you've got hay out here, and tumor here, and you've got this huge environmental gradient.
Very different.
And you say, what's going to be our
priority there is going to be different.
Our policy on St John Ward. Mm-hmm. Serious issue here. No issue in the cropping country, and won't ever be an issue out here. And so you immediately got an environmental gradient. That's pretty clear. And then something like African boxthorn grows here and here, and it ends up being a huge issue out here. Not much of an issue in the cropping country because it gets cropped over. It's only in the rivers and or whatever that go through it. More annoying here slowly grows in the tumour area. When a region came out and said we're going to write a single policy on African boxthorn, it immediately becomes nonsense.
That's right.
And so that and that's what they did. They actually wrote a single policy on it, and they should have said the risk varies through the region.
So if it's a priority for you in your region, this is how you deal with it, and if it's not, well...
It should have gone down to localities, council or locality scale.
Yes.
So even in, again, Riverina, have Carrothulshire here, which actually straddles over there. They have inter-western local land services area. This is cropping and irrigation channels through here, a little bit of irrigation through there, and then it dries out pretty rapidly, and that's all rangelands. So even within the council, you've got different things happening, you say, here's a different program of works ought to be applied. So the language I would promote to council weeds officers is to say, in the following districts, this irrigation area, African boxhorn. So in rangelands area, you have a strong program. Okay, so you say we have a priority for inspection and seeking compliance of a duty in the following areas, these rangelands areas.
That makes sense.
And then you're silent on these other areas. So they aren't fettering their landlord's duty. They aren't fettering their capacity to have a program into the future. But they're making a clear statement that for the coming year, this is our priority. And the following year, you issue another priority statement.
That's right.
It just happens to be the same priority statement. And you never ever expand it.
To there.
To here. To me that would end up being a usefully complete, a way that the weeds officer and the council is giving guidance to the community, saying this is what we're watching out for.
That makes sense. Because I think that's the trick. That's what I've been hearing with some from the weeds guys is they've done some training on the duty. They don't really understand it yet, but they've done some training. And then within that training, they've been handed out sample sort of directions and orders, and they were concerned that wasn't workable and that they were concerned they should have had more input into that document because they felt it really wasn't right for what they needed to do. But they would wait and see, and that they were looking forward to the more targeted sort of training on how do we work with this structure better so we can do our policies and procedures, like we can train our guys and we can make them effective in the field, because at the moment they're all a bit confused. So I think this is definitely part of that, is sort of understanding how the region works, how the local government area defines its priorities as well, and then, at the grassroots or on the front line, how do they go out and do what they need to do?
So here again, in this pantomime, you've got the farmer looking at the farm, and then when the weeds officer comes and does an inspection of that property, they're standing at the same spot and makes the same reckoning. But also the weeds officer before they can say what's going on in this neighbourhood, they have to have stood back even further.
So what's happening?
What's happening in this neighbourhood?
Right, in the region.
So the neighbourhood scale, and then the locality scale. What is the thing that's where weeds are spreading? So there's rivers coming through, or roads sometimes. So that's at that neighbourhood scale. In the locality scale, what is the nature of agriculture in this locality? Or nature of the landscaping is and how it's used by people, and also then send back even further, because the weeds officer is giving advice to the council on policy on those weed control programs, section 371. What policy advice can they give? And then standing back even further before running out of the room, is that the weeds officer also participates in regional programs through the regional weed committees. So they're talking, have the chin wag on the phone to the neighbouring weeds officers. That would be something that I would always recommend the weeds officers regularly do. And then 2 or 3 times a year they're going to a regional weed committee and discussing policy and works and whatever, like the development and subsequent implementation of regional weed strategies.
Has it changed then, do you think? The duty, has it really changed? Really they should have been doing a lot of this before the duty and after, or